All right, so what we're going to do today, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation. Okay, so the main idea about quadratic equation is coming from a quadratic function. Okay, so when we talk about quadratic function, we talk about graph that looks like this. So if we sketch something like this, okay, so you're gonna have a parabola. We call them parabola. Okay, so and then we can have something that looks like this, or it's gonna look like this, or sometimes it's gonna look like this one. Okay, and then we're gonna say that in here we have two intercepts. In here we have only one intercept, and in here we have no intercept. Okay, and when we solve that thing that we call quadratic equation, what we are actually doing is finding the point where this curve crosses the x-axis. Okay, so when solving quadratic equation, that is what you are actually doing. It's just finding the point or the points sometimes where the curve crosses the x-axis. Okay, so in here we're gonna say that we have two solutions. Okay, because we have two intercepts. In here we are going to say that we have one solution. Okay, because it only touches. Okay, so you can see that this parabola is touching this axis in only one point. And in here, well, we can see that unfortunately this doesn't touch or cross the x-axis, so that means that in here we have no solution. Okay, so there is a relationship between this expression and this picture and the quadratic equation that we're going to be doing. Okay, so in here we're going to say this. So we're going to say any expression of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is to be called a quadratic equation, where a, b, and c are real numbers. Okay, so it could be, this could be any number you want, this could be any number you want, and this could be any number you want, with only one restriction actually for that one. Okay, that one cannot be 0. And the reason why this cannot be 0 is because if this is 0, we don't have a quadratic equation anymore. Can you see that if this is equal to 0, then this will disappear, and then we're going to have only that. And that is not a quadratic equation. That's why we put that restriction for A. B can be 0, and C can be 0, and still we have a quadratic equation. All right, and then we have, when you solve quadratic equation, we can do it in 3 different ways. Okay, so we can solve a quadratic equation by factorization or by completing the square, and later you will see that we can also solve a quadratic equation using a formula. Okay, all right. Quadratic equations are extremely important. They are in all branches of mathematics. Okay, and in many sciences. I would say in all sciences you will have in one way or another you have to deal with quadratic equation, or you're going to be using this quadratic function or equations. Okay, but let's go and do some example, and then you will see what we're talking about. Okay, so first we're gonna do the introduction. So I'm gonna cover this for now. I don't want you to see that. Okay, so in here we're gonna start using factorization to solve quadratic equation, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of introduction for this, and this is what's going on. So when we solve quadratic equation by factorization, what is going to happen, we're going to have an expression like this. In this case, we have a money. Okay, later we're going to be using this also for non-money. But let's say if you have a money trinomial like this one equal to 0, then what we are going to do by factorization, we're going to go from here to something that looks like this. All right, so you already learned how to factorize some trinomial. Okay, so we're going to go from here to here, and then if you have this, then we're going to split. In here we have two factors, so we're going to split this into two factors like this. Okay, so one factor equals 0, and then we're going to put the other factor equals 0. And the reason why we are doing this, or the reason why we are allowed to do this, is because when you have the product of two things equal to 0, that means that you are multiplying this by 0, okay, or you are multiplying this by 0, because the answer is equal to 0. Okay, so that means that one of these factor must be equal to 0, otherwise is no way that you're going to have as answer 0. Okay, and then for that reason you can split this. You can say that is equal to 0 or that is equal to 0. And then, well, you're going to find the answer for this, and then you're going to find the answer for that equation, and that will give you two solutions. Okay, so that means that in this case you have two solutions, meaning that you are dealing with a parabola that crosses the x-axis twice, okay, in 2 points. Okay, but that we're going to talk about that a lot more about later. Let's see this example. Okay, so in here we have a squared minus 3a take away 4 equal to 0. Okay, and you can see this looks like this one. Okay, in this case b is equal to -3 and c is equal to -4. All right. Okay, so we already know how to factorize expression like this. So we need to find two numbers that when you times them together equal -4, but when you plus them together equal -3. And then you can go from there to the next line. Okay, so you have the factors. So it's a minus 4 and a plus 1. And then you do what I suggested before. So you're going to split that into two expressions. Okay, so you're going to have a minus 4 equals 0 coming from the first factor, and then a plus 1 equals 0, which is coming from the other factor. Okay, and then you write the solution. So from here you're going to have a equal -4, and from here you're going to have a equal to -1. Okay, so graphically what that means is that you have a parabola, okay, that crosses the horizontal axis at -1 and +4, and I call this a, the a-axis, because we are using a. Okay, so if you are using x's, then well, this is going to be the x-axis, but in this case, yeah, just to be consistent, we're gonna call this the a-axis. All right, and so that was example number 1. Okay, let's do another example. So that we have like this one now. Okay, so we have a squared minus 14a minus 72 equal to 0. Okay, and times in. We need to find two numbers that when you times them together equal -72, but when you add them together the answer is -14. Okay, so this is a big number, so in here we have a lot of factors, but there are only two factors that will do the job. Okay, and those factors are 18 and 4. So it's -18 and +4. Let's check if that is true. -18 times +4 is -72, and -18 plus 4 is equal to -14. So that is correct. Okay, and then we split them. So we do a minus 18 equals 0, and then a plus 4 is equal to 0. And then graphically, we're going to have that picture, and the solutions are a is equal to 18 from here, and a is equal to -4 from here. Okay, and like I said before, so this is telling you that you are dealing with a parabola that crosses the x or the a-axis in this case at -4 and 18. Okay, we are going to continue with this on another page. All right. Okay, so question number 3. Okay, in question number 3 we have a squared plus a minus 6 equal to 0. Okay, and again, so we need to factorize it. Okay, and you already know how to do that, so we need to find two numbers that when you multiply them together equal -6, but when you add them is equal to +1. Okay, +1. All right, and then those numbers are +3 and -2. Okay, so you do 3 times -2 is -6, and 3 plus -2 is 1. And then you know what to do. Okay, so then we separate them. Okay, we separate them. And then we're going to have a plus 3 equals 0, and a minus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, and then you find the solution. So it's a equal -3 and a equal +2. And the picture is on your right. Okay, so again, so you can see in here we have a parabola that crosses these axes at 2 points, and the point are exactly, you know, the solution coming from your equation. So it's -3 and +2. Right. Okay, let's say now that we have this equation. So we got a squared plus 2a plus 1 equal 0. Okay, so this is a perfect square, and we say that is a perfect square for the next reason. So if you factorize this, we have to say this. Okay, so we need to find two numbers that when you times them together equal +1, but when you plus them together equal 2. Now, so what happened in this case is that the two numbers are the same. Okay, so so we have +1 and +1. Okay, and it works because 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. All right. Okay, and we call that a perfect square. So when you have a situation like that, then we have a perfect square, and that is going to be important for the next way of solving quadratic equation. Okay, and then we're going to have this. So we're going to have a plus 1 equals 0, a plus 1 equals 0. So therefore we're going to have a equal -1 and a equal -1. So you can see we still have two solutions, but they are both the same. So I mean that in that case we're going to have a parabola that is coming this way, but it's going to touch. It's not going to cross the horizontal axis, but it's going to touch this axis at that particular point, -1, which is the solution coming from the solution for this equation. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna see what happened now when we have a non-money. Okay, so let's see if we can do the same for non-money. All right, so I'm gonna write this now. Okay, so question 5. Okay, let's say that we have a question like this one. We got 2a squared minus 13a minus 7 equal 0. All right, let's say that we got that one. Okay, so we have to factor this equation. Okay, we need to factor this expression, and we need to remember what to do. Okay, so we need to find two numbers that when you times them together equal this time we need to be careful because it's not equal to -7, but it's equal to 2 times -7, which is -14. Okay, and when you add them together, the answer have to be -13. And because it's negative, one have to be positive and the other one have to be negative. All right, so, and then it looks like the two numbers are -14 and +1. -14 and +1. Okay, and then from what we remember, then we split the middle term into these two numbers. Okay, so we're gonna break this into 2. So we're gonna say 2a squared minus 14a plus 1a, or just a, minus 7 equal to 0. Okay, and then, well, we're gonna do what we know, which is taking the common factor between these two and then take the common factor between these two. Okay, so the factor for this two term, the highest common factor is just 2a, and then the other factor is a minus 7. Okay, and in here we have a minus 7 and the only factor is 1, so we're going to put a minus 7 equal to 0. Okay, and then we're going to do what we used to do before, so we do a minus 7 multiplied by 2a plus 1 equal to 0. Okay, and then we're going to separate them, so we're going to say a minus 7 equals 0, and then we're going to say 2a plus 1 equals 0. Okay, and then we're going to do a equal positive 7, so that is one solution. And from here, if you solve for a, then you're going to have that a is equal to -1 on 2. Okay, all right, so we can see that, you know, even if you have a non-money, okay, we still can do factorization as we knew, and then we can use that to solve, you know, the equation. All right, so that is basically what we have to do. So you do your normal factorization as you did before, and then the main thing is to go from here to here, okay, where you have the product of two factors, and then you split the factors, so making each one of them equal 0. Okay, so you go a minus 7 equals 0, and then you go 2a plus 1 equals 0 from here, and then you solve these two linear equation. Okay, and then the answer for the first one is 7, and the answer for the second one is -1/2. Okay, and then don't forget that this simply means that you are dealing with a parabola. Okay, so you're dealing with a parabola that is crossing this axis at -1/2, but also at +7. Okay, keep this in mind all the time. Okay, so finding the answer is good, but you need to know what you are actually doing. Okay, so let's do another non-monic, and then we're gonna finish this video. Okay, let's take another one. All right, let's say, so this is question, I think this is question 6, question number 6. In question number 6, we have 3x squared plus 14x and then plus 15 equals 0, and we need to find the answer for x. Okay, so in here we need to find we need to find two numbers that when you times them together is equal to 3 times 15, which is 45. But when you plus them together, the answer have to be 14. Okay, so in here all numbers are positive, so that means that all this is going to be positive. We don't have any negative number. Okay, and then let's say I think that this time is going to be easy because 9 times 5 is 45, so 9 times 5 is 45, and 9 and 5 added together is equal to 14, so that was easy. Okay, and then we're gonna split this 14 into 9 and 5, so we're gonna say 3x squared plus 9x plus 5x plus 15 equal to 0. And then we're gonna have common factor is 3x, x plus 3, and then this one 5 is the common factor, and then we're gonna have x plus 3, which is the common brackets. Okay, and then we take the common brackets out, and then we have 3x plus 5 equal 0, and then we do the splitting part equal 0, and then 3x plus 5 equal 0, and then you can see that from here you have x is equal to -3, and from here you have that x is equal to -5 on 3. Okay, and then you can draw your parabola just to indicate that that is what is going on. So this is -5, so this is -3, and this is -5 on 3. Okay, so now we're gonna do a hard question. Okay, let's say that you have this question now, question 7. I'm doing this question because sometimes you say, oh yeah, you do easy question, but you never show us how you do the hard one. Okay, let's do a hard one. Let's say that you have something like this. You have that x minus 3 bracket 2x plus 5 close bracket must be equal to 6x plus 7. All right, let's say that we have that. Okay, obviously in here we cannot split these two factors because we have something else on the other side. Okay, so I mean that what we are going to do, we are going to remove the bracket. Okay, so we're going to remove the bracket by multiplying, and then we're going to simplify until we have something equal to 0. Okay, so let's do the multiplication on this side. So x times 2x is going to be 2x squared, and then here we're going to have x times 5, which is 5x, and then we're going to have 3 times 2, which is -6x. Okay, so if you put that together, so we're going to have -x. Okay, I said again, this is coming from 5x, and then in here we're going to have -6x. So the answer is going to be -6. And then minus 15. And then that have to be equal to 6x plus 7. Okay, and then we're going to move the everything to the left and simplify. So we're going to have 2x squared minus 7x, and then in here we're going to have minus 22. That is equal to 0. Okay, and then we're gonna do what we have been doing all the time. Okay, so we need to find two numbers that when you times them together, the answer is negative 44. And in here, we need to find negative 7. So when you plus them together, the answer is negative 7. Okay, we'll continue. All right, so let's think about the factors of negative 44. Okay, so 2 times negative 22 is negative 44, but it doesn't work for this one. But if you do 11, so I'm going to say 11 times 4. Okay, so in here 1 have to be negative because the answer have to be negative, and have to be negative 11 because when you put this together, the answer have to be negative 7. So the numbers are negative 11 and positive 4. All right, and then let's do what we do all the time. So we're going to do 2x squared minus 11x, and then plus 4x minus 22 equal to 0. Okay, and then we're going to have, in here we have only x as a common factor. So we're going to have x bracket 2x minus 11, and in here 2 is the common factor, so we're going to have 2x minus 11. Okay, and then we do 2x minus 11 bracket x plus 2 bracket equal 0, and then we say 2x minus 11 equal 0, and then x plus 2 equal 0. And then from here we're going to have that x is equal to positive 11 divided by 2. That is my first solution. And from here we have that x is equal to negative 2, which is my second solution. Okay, and then you draw your picture. Okay, and this is going to be negative 2, and this is going to be 11 on 2. All right. Okay, so I mean that even if you have a harder equation like this, well, this wasn't too hard. Okay, just was longer because we need to remove the bracket, reorganize the whole thing until it looks like, you know, a quadratic equation, the standard notation. Okay, and then you go from there. So that wasn't actually too hard. Okay, and we're gonna stop the video here. Okay, and then I'm gonna show you how we can solve quadratic equation using that thing that we call completing the square. And the reason why we have to do some other way is because sometimes it is impossible to find, you know, those two numbers that when you times them together equal and blah blah blah. Okay, sometimes you cannot find those two numbers, you know, that easy. So that's why we need to do it some other way. Okay, so but we're gonna stop the video right now, and then we'll continue in a second video.